Happy full moon in Capricorn day. May this be the best day of your life, just like yesterday was the best day of your life, and tomorrow will be the best day of your life again and again and again. And of course, in the world of Explore Imagine, we are moving in that consciousness of creating the good for ourselves from deep within. And today, under this incredible full moon in Capricorn day, I am very excited because I'm receiving a special guest today that I'm just about to invite in a second here. Well, actually, let's just do it now. That way I can introduce the amazing Christine to you. And we're going to be talking together because of our genius zone that are so similar but also so unique in their own way that we are together today. Christine!
Hello, gorgeous.
I'm so happy to be with you today, to see you.
It's so good to see you too and celebrate all the things with you too.
Well, same for you, Moment. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. I'm so ready for this conversation. It's exactly what we get to talk about, and it's always perfect timing, right? Perfect timing. I love your stories because you said, millionaires do this, but billionaires do astrology. I love it. Let's go. Let's do it.
Go. Okay, perfect. Before we dive in, I want to take at least a few seconds here to introduce you properly, shine the light a bit on you, on your heart, on the incredible woman that you are. So Christine, I mean, what to say? I feel you're a woman of your own in such multidimensionality, but wow, you've built what? Close to $1 million business?
Yeah.
But that to me is like, okay, sure, that's fun, that's impressive, but to me what's really impressive, and I think that's exactly why our vision aligns so well, is that you've done it from your absolute gifts, right? From your deep love as a woman. And something too that amazed me about you, and maybe today we'll have the opportunity to talk a bit about it. You've built the AI platform that is very spiritual, that you call the divine mirror. I mean, you architected from what I read. And also, Christine is the kind of woman that shows up in your life to activate codes of wealth within yourself. But I think it's also about activating the deep truth in human, right? And what they truly are at the depth of themselves. And guess what? Like, through our relationship together and us having met lately, to give a bit of context to you guys, we've met through a beautiful mastermind. And it's like, that's exactly how I feel about you. No. I feel you just hold that frequency of wealth, of beauty, with that pure love. So what a great honor to have you on this live today so we can talk about the magic of cults of ancient land and the ancestors and so much beautiful magic together.
Oh my God, that was such a great introduction. And, I am going to also put this on my podcast. So we need to introduce you as well with your brilliance and your mastery of infusing astrology and bringing that into 7 and 8 and 6-figure leaders and helping them to fully own their brilliance. So can you describe a little bit about you? It was just such an honor for us to meet, especially this is why you guys need to join masterminds. I know you have one right now. This is where you meet your soul sisters. This is where you also meet collaborators and people that just have like minds. But anyway, tell them more about you and your brilliance.
I love you for that. I love you even more. I mean, it's funny because you know what? I've been realizing that lately, even through the mastermind we're in, everyone is starting to see me as the one that brings astrology, and I'm like, this is great, but it's only one of the things I bring forward. So, but I love it. So, I'm a manifestor generator in human design. So I'm definitely the kind of woman that shows up in your life, and it's like I have it all, and I surprise you with so many different ways of looking at at your business, looking at your path in life. But ultimately, my true genius zone, I believe, is that, sure, I'm here to help you scale your business to the 6 figures, the 7 figures. I haven't made it myself there yet, but I still know that I hold what it takes, because I think that what it takes, whether it's the 7, the 8, the 9, whatever figures you want, the true business that I'm truly passionate to help are the ones that are anchored in spirit. And that's my zone of genius. If you're the kind of woman, if you're the kind of man, because I work with both men and women, that moves with heart and that moves with spirit, and that is very curious to tapping more into the spirit world and understanding more of that spirit world, and being willing as a leader to tap into that world and infuse it back into the earth, into material reality, starting, of course, with the vessel of your business. And I will say I'm a perfect match of working with you, right? And that's one of the reasons I use astrology, because astrology is just this divine chart, this divine map of your entire lifetime and of your business as well. And with astrology, it's just the understanding of I'm moving between time and space, and I get to use certain doorways that maybe are more beneficial for me. But of course, we could look at it as profit, because when we have business, we move through profit, of course, but to me, it's way more than that. It's about truly activating like the true divine essence of who you are in the most magnificent expression, and of course, to create a legacy that will impact the 7 next generation of the children of the children of the children of all of the children, where soon enough we're levitating in heaven on earth. Like, that's just it. That's the vision over here. I don't care how much money you make. Like, sure, make the billions. Sure, let's cheer up and have fun with that. But ultimately, it's like, do you want to come fly in heaven with me kind of vibe, right?
Yes.
So,
I love that so much. It really is what you said. It's really about us tapping into our divinity and understanding that, the closer we are connected to the earth and to cosmos and to who we truly are, the more powerful everything is, our life, our business, results, like all of those things. So I absolutely love this. And this is why we're talking about what? Ancestral veneration. We're going to talk about ley lines. We're talking about all of that. And let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm like, this was such a great idea to come on the live together. And I'm like, wait a minute, are we ready for it? Because I feel putting our genius zone together, it's like inviting the world to dive in this crazy journey. We're talking about land codes today, the ancestors. So let's just say it for what it is. We're going deep into spiritual depth today, so be ready for it, because we're not going to play it small here.
We are not playing it small. And what's so beautiful, I love that we chose right now. I live in St. Petersburg, Florida right now, but I am originally from, and my ancestors and everyone's from New Orleans. And my mom recently had a stroke situation. She's doing better. We're getting improving and shaking it up. But every time I come home, which is home to New Orleans, there's just so many new codes and so many things opening up. And so you and I had talked, and I was talking about how there's just a deep connection in New Orleans, and it's usually not like talked about, but to Atlantean codes and Lemurian. There's like ancient mounds that are off the shores and things like that. And it's like, buried, and they're super deep, but they're right there. And when we remember, like, there's so much knowledge and so much wisdom that we have access to through the land, through the codes, it really, like, there's so much. Our ancestors get a lot of shit. Come on, like, how many times do our ancestors get shit? So we always think, oh, what did they give us, or what am I trying to move through, and what am I trying to heal? But we forget the power that they brought. We forget the power that are in our bloodlines because of what we have inherited or what we've received. And so I always think about the ancestors, and I think about what we've gotten through our bloodline in a positive right? I feel like the ancestors come back, they become the land. And like when you are connected to Gaia, you are getting all of these codes and they're right
Mm-hmm.
feeding into you. And it's so powerful when we look at it more than what are we trying to shift out of, but what are we receiving?
Mm-hmm. Ah, I love you even more every second I speak to you. Oof. 100%. You know, when you say the ancestors are the land, this is exactly it. From, you know, part of the background of where I come from, and it's something I talk about here and there, and every time I talk about it, I'm trying to be very particular about it because there's sacred conversation, and there's something about sacred energy that needs to be communicated with a lot of awareness and heart. But you know, before I birthed Explore Imagine, that is my very secret business, I've walked a path of life called the Red Road of Life. And maybe you're familiar a bit to it because the way you speak, I'm like, Red Road people, let's go. But the Red Road of Life is basically the path that you walk where you enter ancient ceremonies of Native American people, for lack of a better term, on Turtle Island. Turtle Island being North America, right? Turtle Island being Canada, the U.S. and Mexico. We're close to each other right now in Baja California. You're like Florida, New Orleans ways. So we're not too far, and we're on a different piece of the turtle. They call it Turtle Island because when you look at it from like bird's eye perspective, it does look like a turtle. Maybe you've heard that before.
Yes.
And the Red Road of Life is these ancient ceremony, like of course we can think of sweat lodges and we can think of plant medicine like peyote and the vision quest and so forth. And I don't want to talk too much about these things, especially not here on the live, and I don't think it's my place, but this is the place of the elders to speak up on that. But what I can speak up about though is that through moving through these ways of life, I've learned, or at least I'm still learning today, because we can have this beautiful conversation today, and it's like the best ever, and we're so excited, and it's like we're moved by this. This was spirit move, like spirit orchestrated that, especially the way this day is going so far, like full moon in Capricorn day, I'm telling you, everything is just like, but ultimately, what I've learned through that 7 years journey and going, I sit with peyote. This is my number one favorite plant medicine, and I'm not talking about like some woo-woo BS hippie circle. Like I sit with the elders and the one that can really teach the old tradition. And I'm really careful when I say this, by the way. Like but ultimately it's about that spirit world. And through these traditions, something that I've learned, it's like the ancestors are the land, the rocks are the ancestors. When we bring rocks into a sweat lodge, we bring the rocks because the rocks are the ancestors and we can speak to them. And even yesterday I was on a call with a client and she's about to birth an amazing like holistic center type in Oaxaca, Mexico, and everything is so orchestrated and that's part of her highest vision in her business. And then one of the things I was like, how about you ask the land and you ask the ancestors and the permission to be here and the movements. And this is just the most beautiful thing because I think we're all relearning these ways and we know so little about it. But then once we learn to embrace and dive deeper, then in my understanding we reconnect to the remembrance that it's like, this earth is so abundant. This is, you're talking like you're a wealth activator, but it's like the wealth activation is in the connection of the land and the heart of the earth and the deep vibration of the rivers and the waterfalls and the mountains and that oneness. And I would love to hear you more on New Orleans and all that you know about these ancient lands there and the coast, the way they move you. I get full chills like, oh, my thighs right now. Because I don't know too much about New Orleans, a little bit, and guess what? My own father, he used to teach French in Louisiana, so not too far. And there's like a beautiful story on that. And then he went back home before his contract was over to come back to my mother. And then eventually, like, I came. but I never been these ways. And I have one of my clients, actually it's funny, a few weeks ago we did a live and she was talking about some vortex in Florida as well.
Yeah.
And things that I don't know that she's been in Chino. So anyway, can you just give it to us? Tell us everything about what you've experienced through the land codes of New Orleans, maybe a bit Florida. It's part of the same zone.
It's the same zone. It's the same zone. Okay, so I have to bring up, so when I came back to New Orleans in February, because my dad had to, in a medical emergency. I'm a lot older than I think. Oh, look, my dad will be 80 and when will Daddy be 80? And on the 11th, on Friday. And my mom just turned 77. So I'm 49. I'll be 50 next year. Yes.
You know when you're limitless in your spirit and you just enter this, like, can we just give you a big, like, ageless celebration?
It's the youth. It's the fountain of youth, you know?
It is.
And so when I came back here in February, it was a couple of weeks before Mardi Gras, and we ended up staying for like 3 to 4 weeks, my sister and I. And that's when the Divine Mirror was born. So again, it was me connected to the ancestry and all of the things. When I came back this time, the day before or that Saturday of that week, I was supposed to be looking at my business and like planning out the next 6 months. And of course, something happened and brought me here, right? So that I could plan out the next 6 months or really tap into what gets to happen in my business here. So I just wanted to bring that up. But one big thing about New Orleans, and you can go down the TikTok rabbit hole, guys, if you want to, but New Orleans is a very, very, it's just a frequency city. If you think about jazz was born here, different music was born here. There's a connection. People always say that there's like, different, let's say, ethereal beings, like vampires and those different types of things. They're like just alive in this city. And one of the things that I know ever since I was a young child, my mom also is a psychic. I have been, psychic since I was younger, and all the women in my family are really connected to, like, knowing, like there's a knowing of, okay, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And to me, it just is so connected to this land, and it's so connected to the power here. And you always think about, there's poverty, there's all these other things, but you think about I love to say, what's a good way to say it? A lot of the things that the big populations are experiencing it's a lot of conditioning. And so if you look at the places where there's a lot of conditioning, where you think there's a lot of trying to keep populations down, it's usually populations that are melanated, right? Indigenous, because we are so connected to the land, because we are so connected to the earth. And so if you look at a lot of these cities, if you go into the cities and don't pay attention to what the news is trying to convince you of what's happening, you can find the most connected human beings that are connected to the earth, that know what's happening, that can, they leave. Like, for example, my mom, before there was before there was notifications of hurricanes and things, my mom, for Hurricane Betsy, she's standing in her house, and they were in the lower ninth ward at the time. And she was like, she looked over and she saw on the wall a wall of water coming towards her like a movie. And she was like, she's like, something is going on. So she took all of her brothers and sisters, and there's 6 of them total, plus my great grandmother, plus like whoever else was in the house, and they all went onto the rooftop. As soon as they get on the rooftop, she looked down the street, and guess what was coming? That wall of water. If my mom hadn't gone up there, they would have drowned. And it was because of, the government and opening the water so that it could flood out certain neighborhoods and not other ones. And so if we remember that our intuition, I call it the inner God voice, is what connects us to the land, connects us to the ancestors. This brings us all back to our power, because we all have ancestry. We all have this power. And then also, when you lean back, I don't know if those of you who is like there's been some craziness in the U.S. and with the elections and all of that stuff. But the 92%, that represents the melanated, like, females who voted a different way. We just have stepped out. We said, okay, we're just going to let the ancestors, we're going to let everybody figure it out themselves and just know that we're going to deal with our own things and our own, our ancestors and do that. Then you fast forward a couple of months later, what happened? You remember with the, they had, 2 or 3 plantations that burned down, and people were like, we don't know what happened. They have, you have Confederate museums being hit with trees. It's like ancestors. It's the ancestors. It's not us. We allowed the ancestors to do what they need to do. You see what I mean? It's just so powerful. Okay, so that's some of the things that I get to say about New Orleans.
The ancestors is the spirit world, and the spirit world is ancestors, and that force, honey, is like, you can force that stuff. You can be stronger than that. You can learn to move with it, right? And I think we're learning to move with it, because as we fight it, then we cannot go back to the spirit world. And ultimately, in my understanding of my spirit, and I'm learning, like, I ain't perfect over here, like, but it's like, ultimately, our spirit, what is our spirit truly chasing? Sovereignty, freedom, peace. When we move business with that frequency, when we're trying to have another agenda that ain't flowing, or maybe it's going to be flowing, but ultimately it's going to bring misery in life. And right, this old business system, and also New Orleans too, we're like slowly diving in the depth of it. By the way, shout out, Christine is doing like the most amazing VIP time in New Orleans, just saying. We'll get more into that in a second, but like, I feel the code, when you're talking about like the code, Lemuria, Atlantis, call it the way you want to call it. These, by the way, to me, it's like, what is Atlantis? It's the spirit world. Yes. It's heaven on earth. The way I was shown, and a lot of my big activation in my life has happened as I've been journeying to pyramids. And I've done even like ceremony with hikuri, peyote, plant medicine at pyramids ground with like the best masters there is out there, like the one that opens off and on the spirit world, because us, we're just little children, we're just playing like and learning these, but just stepping in here, something that I've learned through these ceremonies is, if we're looking at Atlantis, right, like heaven on earth, it's one way to describe it, one word to describe it. We think about it like something of the past, maybe something of the future. It's none of that. It's a state of consciousness that is accessible in the here and now. As I'm speaking to you, I'm activating in that consciousness. It's a frequency, it's a feeling, it's of course an emanation from the heart to start with. And one day I was walking at Teotihuacan, which is the pyramid site just outside of Mexico City, right? Talking about land codes. And I was walking there that morning, and this friend of mine, he's like a ceremony brother, someone I met through a ceremony. He goes, yeah, these pyramids, they were built, they stayed through the Toltec days. And as I said, they say it's in the past, but they're still here. It's just that we're not open to see them. And I was like, oh. And then if you read books about Toltec, one of the big thing about Toltec society is the dream state, right? Dream state, dream consciousness. And then we think about it, as I said, as like, but it's just, it happens from us. And with New Orleans, as I said, I wouldn't like to be transparent. It's not the land that I've tapped the most in, but now you're inviting me to tap there, and I love it. But something I know through New Orleans is, of course, if we look at history and history of the last 100 years, or should I say, the history of colonization. So the last 400 years, I'm a big, passionate person to have deep conversation about colonization and what it looks like, and what it looks like in our DNA, and what it looks like from a trauma perspective and from a historical trauma perspective, which is an intergenerational trauma perspective. And something about New Orleans is like, let's be crystal clear and truthful. It's been a land of trauma, right? And when you talk about the society right now and how some people are fed in that state of fear and so forth. So it's very interesting, and I'm interested and very curious to hear more, to have a bit your transmission on the light codes of this land, because I can feel it right now. Like, this land is very special, and sometimes when land vibrates so strong, what it means is that it's also going to show crystal clear the duality of both worlds, the duality of the two-spirit world, because it's like a gate of both worlds, right? The dark and the light, right? Like God and devil, if you can call it this way, right? So tell me, Christine, like, what have you, the story of your mom is one of them. To me, it's like, whoa, what a beautiful story. And I'm like, your mother must be the most beautiful. I feel her, I'm like, who is this woman? Like, I love her already. But tell me, honey, like, yeah, your experience being in New Orleans, and obviously, like, you activating as an activator of wealth and all these beautiful things that you do. Like, tell me about these lands. More.
No, I love that.
This is getting good.
This is so good, and I love that you brought up that piece about colonization, because it does, right? That's where that conditioning comes from, right? To disconnect us from the land, disconnect us from our ancestors, even say that ancestral veneration or this really honoring them is evil, right? They always say it's demonic, it's anti-Christian, all of those things, when the statues and the things that they put up is their ancestor veneration, right? It's their ancestral veneration, but you're told that your ancestral veneration is incorrect. And the reason why is because of the power, like you said, the power of the land, the power of the honoring, the power of realizing that you're not alone. And so one of the biggest things in New Orleans that I love when I come back to visit, or even, because you take this with you, and like I said, I'm in St. Petersburg, and there's connection to that land as well. It is remembering that being divinity, right? Because I love to call it divinity in a body, your God frequency in this body. We are so powerful, and we're even more powerful when we remember we're not alone. And so that means that you can call on to the ancestors. You can call on to the spirit world, ascended masters, and, you can call on to the land and just say, show me. I love to remind everyone, like when there was the hurricane that was barreling towards where I was living in St. Petersburg, I didn't call upon anything else. I called upon the land. I called upon, I said, I am God divinity within me. And I said, shift this so that it does not hurt more people, right? And if you remember, in Tampa, Florida, there's some mounds that protect that area. It hasn't been direct hit in years and years and years. And it's just, as soon as the hurricane comes, it turns before it gets there. And people are like, oh, that's just, what do they call it? I can't even think of it, when they try to say it's fake or it's not real. I'm like, really? You can't, just look and just see. And so it's the same with New Orleans. It took a long time for New Orleans before it was hit, right, directly with a hurricane. And then when Katrina did come, I look at how powerful it, how connected it, how it brought together so many communities, right? You expected it to tear communities apart. It actually brought together communities. And so the more that you look at and you start to see the frequency of the, like you said, there is a dichotomy, there is the whole colonial thing, but we look at the true community, naturally New Orleans, the way people of different kind of communities come together as like family, right? There's just family here. It's just something that I believe is special. It's very, very, very special. And I am like every day connecting even more and more to my power. I think about me as a young girl. When I was 6 years old, I told my mom, I said, I am going to be valedictorian of my high school. Don't know why I wanted that, but I was. And I ended up being the first Black valedictorian of my high school. I told her I was going to do that. I told her I was going to move to New York City. I told her that I was going to start my own business. I told her all those things, and every single thing happened. And
Well
it
done,
just,
woman.
yeah, you know, I was a little 6-year-old that knew what was going to happen, and she said it, and it happened. But I want anyone that's watching this replay, listening to this on our podcast, whatever, I want you to know that you all have this power. Whether your ancestors are in New Orleans, whether your ancestors are in Mexico, whether your ancestors are in Dubai, or it's in the land in Scotland, like you can always connect. And if we remember that we have so many multiple past lifetimes, like in my history, there's Native American, of course, there's
I feel that
Native,
too.
right? There's also ancestral, like there's like I guess you could say Africans, but they were in this land before Columbus, so they are native to this land as well, right? You also, and there's a huge group of people that were native to this land before slavery, right? Enslavement. And then you also have French, right? Being from North, you have French.
You
And
have
so,
these ancestors in common, honey. Woo!
yes, exactly. So we have all of these. You can connect to all of these ancestors. We're Hazes, which is also Scottish, right? So you have all of these.
I'm hardly. I have a bit of Scottish in here.
Yes, that's right. All of our redheaded ancestors. Hello, right?
Yeah.
And so do you think about, and then your past lifetimes, like you can connect to any ancestral line that you want to connect to when you come from a place of love, when you come from a place of your own divinity, and you remember that you're walking line side by side with all of these beautiful, beautiful, like spiritual beings that are here to help you and support you. And you can bring this into your business. Like you can bring this into your life. And that's when you know you're not alone. That's when you know I can do anything. That's when you know that 1,000 people in my, of course, that's easy because I'm not walking alone. And I feel like that's the most important thing when we think about the land and the codes of the land. You're not alone. Anything you want to ask, anything you want to shift, anything you want to create, connect.
Yeah, always. I just love this conversation. And you know what I want to add to that? Because I feel it's juicy and it's very profound. So, like, I know you're going to get it right away because you've been there. And I know, too, depending of where you're at in your journey, sometimes when we have deep conversations that are about the ancestors, that are about spirituality, what happens a lot, and I know it because it still happens to me even to this day, even if I had like, I've experienced miracles on this earth. Like I'm talking about earthly miracles, things that I've witnessed through my eyes, through nature, that we don't even know it's possible. And I've acknowledged them. And even if I've been through so many of these miracles, guess what happened? Our ego, that is our really good friend, sometimes wants to come here and justify that all of this great miracle consciousness that comes from the spirit world is not true and is not real. And that ego ultimately is connecting to that old conditioning, right? Which we articulate a bit earlier around that. And of course, society and civilization, and not to put that all in a dark space, not all black or white, but right? So, yeah, I just felt the call to bring a bit that into awareness as we're speaking. Now, with that being said, just a little like ego check awareness, and as we keep going in that deeper spiritual path of life, and we're spirit to start with, like before having these beautiful age-like bodies of our long brown hair, let's go, we were spirit to start with, right? But with that being said, with the ancestor, you know what, Christine, and I'm sure you've had a similar experience before, what I've come to realize in my journey is that, of course, I call upon the ancestors, and I remember years back, one of my good friends, someone who's teaching me a lot in my life about the spirit world, would say, yeah, like, you have all your ancestors sitting with you, like, right here.
Yes.
And I remember I was like, what is he talking about? And I was like, you must be kind of bullshitting, or like, I could feel it in my heart, but I really didn't fully get it, right? Because a bit of like these Toltec dream conversation I had earlier, that it's like something you gotta attune to, right? It's like a bit of a frequency, a replug, like plug that thing at the good one. And then I wouldn't fully get it. And as I kept journeying in myself and diving into this beautiful healing journey, which is like, what is the healing journey? It's just a reconnection to deep, vibrant essence. Then next thing you know, it's like, oh, I have these experiences with my ancestors. I have these experiences with my spirit guides. Sometimes they come talk to me. Then next thing you know, I can ask questions. Then, like last year, I did a retreat to the pyramid. I didn't choose it. One day I had it was like the lightning hit the top of my head and they were moving me. It was like spirit movie, you gotta go there. And then next thing you know, everything aligned so well and I created this retreat with my team. When you say you're not alone, I was like asking them questions, how should I go about this? One day they even told me names. They were like, this and this are gonna come. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like, and it all happened this way because I was moving with the team. Yes. But as I come to realize, I remember when my friend was like, yeah, there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, a bit like what you said. Then I really started seeing it. And it's like we can see it through a vision. It's like I can close my eyes and then right there, I'm feeling them all. Yes. And they're with me. And they want to keep going with me. But what I've come to realize too, that was a deep meditation experience that I had through Reiki and other beautiful things, was like, wait a minute. As you said, through multiple lifetimes, I am the ancestor. And what I come to realize, that was wild because I was never too much into past life regression stuff. Like I've never really been, let's say, to a workshop that specifically target past life regression, or maybe a little bit here and there. But at some point, it started hitting me. That like I would meditate with no intention of going there, and I would just be brought there, and it would be like this moment where maybe connecting, and mostly through embodiment, right? So when we connect in our body, so let's say like pain in your shoulder, and you really pay your awareness attention in the pain in the shoulder, and you ask the pain to show you what it's truly holding as a frequency, and then through traveling in the embodied journey of my body, like Elisabeth in this lifetime. Pain, that to me means pay attention inwardly now, brought me back naturally to through this past life regression that happened through meditation, where my intention was never to go there at first. I was just like, I just want to meditate on my pain and like liberate my body. You know, I want to feel freer and light as a feather every single day. And then this one time, I'm going to try to explain it the best way I can in English vocabulary, because sometimes it's hard for me to articulate these vision and experience. But, so, through the deep pain stored in my body, I traveled back in the timeline where I used to live in Scotland. And guess what? Part of my genetic, I have Scottish ancestry in my genetic. Yes. But I traveled back in my meditation in Scotland. I would say it was about 7 generations back. Mm-hmm. And I saw myself as a woman with a man that through the meditation I've been with in this lifetime. And I saw us back in a different lifetime. And I saw like in that past lifetime, we had a pretty traumatic story together. And this is wild, okay, I'm telling you. That's why I did like an ego check for everyone. I'm like, I can't believe I'm even talking about that. I know if you're watching, I love you, it's them. I saw this version of me, let's say 7 generations back, with this man. I give birth to a baby. This is really deep stuff. I give birth to a baby. I didn't want the baby with this man back then because we had a very, like, the way I was shown through meditation, it was a very abusive relationship. Mm-hmm. I've made a baby. The baby created my bloodline. Wow. Back to me. The baby that was born through us created another baby. that created another baby. And at some point, this lineage, of course, crossed from Europe into Canada, right? My family is originally from Quebec, Canada, which is historically is one of the main portal when the European came in North America. So, I mean, I don't know how this all happened, but in that meditation, I saw myself, and then I said, oh, but when I call upon the ancestors, I am the ancestors. And that to me was one of the most revealing moments and very profound moments. And of course, we could argue that this story is true or not. Like, we would never know. It's not something I can prove through science.
It's true.
Like, what are we going to do, you know? But to me, it was so revealing because to me, the message in that was like, everything that I create for now, it's for the children of the children of the children that soon enough will be me again. So
Yes.
might as well pierce into the deepest freedom we can pierce and really connect to the sovereignty of our spirit and the sovereignty of our liberation, and of course create the most amazing business and creating wealth and the legacy of wealth for our children and the legacy of freedom, because it's all going to circle back to us, right? And the power of relationship and the power of creating beautiful, meaningful relationship, right? And we're all not perfect and we're all human, and ultimately we're all going through, like, how many times you meet someone and they trigger you a little bit and then you're like, But it's like, what if that person, there was a connection that is way more profound that you can imagine. And of course we can travel so deep in that rabbit hole of all of the things. But ultimately for me, I'm like, oh, well, then I'm infinite.
Yes.
I have infinite time. I'm traveling through space and time. My spirit is traveling through space and time, and it's remembering these codes of freedom. And then the more and more it happens, it's like, oh, it just seems like it just gets freer and better every single day. And then sometimes we get triggered in that past loophole of, you know, whatever kept us stuck for a moment in our life, because we've all been there. And then we circle back again and again and again, and then we're creating the most beautiful orchestra. So, to me, the ancestors is us.
Yes.
And it's our children, and it's the land. And if you think of the land, of course the rocks are an ancestor, where our body goes. And even like, how many times in my life, like, you can gaze into something. I'm sure you've done that. I had a bit of these gazing moments today as I connect with you. It's like, you can focus and gaze on something. And if you gaze on a rock, or maybe not just one rock, although I've played with that and with crystal in my life, and I had crazy experience. Like, I saw one day an eclipse, a solar eclipse, back, I think it was in 2017 or something like that. There was a full solar eclipse that was traveling through the line of Oregon.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And I remember back then the elder were like, no, you're not meant to go see the eclipse. When eclipse come, like, these were the, like, Lakota elders and stuff like that. They were like, when an eclipse come, you're meant to go retrieve and meditate and, like, not hide, but, you know, go in an introspection moment. And I was like, okay, I travel all the way to Oregon to see the freaking eclipse, but the elder are telling me that, so I'm going to listen. And then I went in the teepee, and I had this obsidian crystal ball, and I just gazed at the ball, and I gazed at the ball, and it was just, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just intuitively brought to gaze at my ball. And when the eclipse arrives, that black obsidian ball, it's like in the middle, this light hit on the obsidian ball. And a few hours back, I went outside to go back to see my friends because they all saw the eclipse. I was the only weird one who was like, let me go in the teepee. And my friend took a photo of the eclipse, and it's exactly what I saw in that ball. But anywho, to come back to my point of, like, you can do that. You can gaze into things, and life will reveal you something. But if you go on the beach or, like, mountains, rock, we think of a rock like a little rock, but a rock is on the mountains, right? And when we pay attention to the mountains, oh, they open up to us. And then the mountains soon, we start seeing the spirit that dance with the mountains. And they talk with us. And when we gaze into the spirit, we're opening in my opinion, it's like the true earth code, like the true initial, deep, abundant frequency code, in lack of better words.
Yeah.
Because we draw attention to it. And I really love your share on, the hurricanes, because we're so programmed to think of hurricane like is the most horrible thing. But then for you, it's like, no, the ancestry brought it, nature brought it. Then to gaze through the hurricane, right, that's saying like, be the eye of the hurricane kind of vibe. And when we start playing with that, nature responds, and we only get more and more and more miracle. And then, in my opinion, it's a true sacred business, because when I'm really connected to these code, I don't even need the business anymore. We're just like dancing in heaven together. It's the best ever. But in the meantime, because we're learning, you're learning, I'm learning, we're rewiring our consciousness to that through original frequency, that true original unconditional love.
Yeah.
That true love. Then what I found is that the best thing I can do so far, it might change in one day. Everything evolves really fast, especially with the transit of like Uranus and Gemini. By the way, I meant to tell you, there's been a transit too of Jupiter in Cancer a few weeks ago. Jupiter in Cancer, I could talk about that for hours. But the biggest message of Jupiter in Cancer, the biggest transmission, is about healing of the Divine Mother, healing of deep feminine energy, and also healing of the ancestors. And doing it, of course, keep doing it for yourself. In the next year of our lives, because it's a year transit that's going to last till next July, the more and more we devote to that as sovereign human being, the more and more we're going to see big blessing of expansion in our life, because Jupiter is a planet of expansion, and therefore it's a planet that of course is connected to wealth and big luck and so forth. But Cancer, the code of Cancer is the Divine Mother, the ancestors, divine feminine energy. So for you, what's currently happening with your mother, I'm like, yeah, it's really part of the orchestration, and it's really beautiful. And to keep leaning in and to keep leaning in, because the spirits are sending you to do what you got to do in that beautiful story with your beautiful mother that has the biggest heart ever. Yes. So I really want to bow awareness to that, because I'm like, this is so, it's so orchestrated. But yes.
Can I add one point before we go? So before we go, because you were talking about how we are the ancestors, I had a reading with, her name is Danielle Laura, and she is so connected.
Mm-hmm.
She said when she saw me walking, because we went to a conference together. Yeah. She said that she saw, she said 1,024 lifetimes. So she saw 1,023 lifetimes surrounding me. And she said there was also an indigo wing that was like, she saw me turn and there was an indigo wing out of my back. And she was like, she's like, all of those pieces of all of that lifetime, they're all accessible. Like you're already accessing all of the gifts, right, from all 1,023 of those lifetimes. Ooh. And integrating it into your day. And she's like, you're meant to have millions of eyes on you. And she's like, it's because of like everything that you've incorporated from all of these lifetimes. And so I when you said we are the ancestors, it's like, yeah, because if you think about all of your lifetimes, you think about all of your ancestors, you think about 7 generations back, 7 generations forward, everything's happening all at once, right? It's all happening at the same time. But there's always pieces, gifts, talents, things that we are meant to, like we are bringing forth. And what I loved about what she said was, I presented something. It was in a mastermind, and everybody was like 7 and 8 figure people, and they were like, we love that. And they were like, oh, that's like this book, some book I had never read before. And I'm like, well, usually, like, I'm not a big reader. I like to go within and let all of my wisdom come from within me. And so I'm always like, well, no knowledge is new knowledge, right? It's all ancestral knowledge that we're pulling up, but we don't necessarily have to go to school, get a certification or anything. We get to all pull pieces from all the lifetimes that we've experienced. And so I say this as a close of what we're talking about, because what the codes from the land, everything that we're experiencing, things that we walk along, like the land, the ancestors and things like that, when you know that you just can access it all from within you, because you're a divinity in the body, you can access all of that, that lets you know that there's no reason for you to be afraid, no reason to look outside of you for anything, because it's all within. And that's the big thing. I feel like that's the codes of the land, is that we are divinity, that we are sovereign, that we are divine walking, and every lifetime, every experience, every ancestor, everything is within us.
Mic drop. The blood is the ancestors. The DNA, like, where does the DNA come from? The ancestors, you are your alive DNA. Welcome to life and this most beautiful gift. Wow. This is it. This is it. I love this conversation. I didn't even see the time go, by the way. I'm so glad you had to cut me up for a second, or not really, but you know what I mean? Because I'm like, wait a minute, it's been almost an hour talking. I'm like, we could just be flowing like that. Like,
it's so good.
Sometimes. Oh, we're already doing it.
We have to do this again. We definitely have to do this again.
We have to. We definitely have to, in a great, embodied, grounded way. This was beautiful. I feel activated, big time.
Yes. I feel connected too. Like I said, like we're so connected. Like you said, we have very similar ancestry. It's just so beautiful, and that's how you find, like, when everybody can just sit back and remember that we're all coming from, right? We all come from the same earth. We are all so connected. Yeah. So connected. I mean, this is why I'm doing the Divinity Embodied immersion here in New Orleans at the end of this month, because I want it to be one vacation with Christine. Like, I'm the frequency lifter, right? That's what everybody calls me. I'm the energy lifter and the frequency shifter, right? Because when you're in my frequency, people shift, they rise, they do. And so I was like, well, one, you do that because when you come hang with me, you're going to make more money, you're going to, right? But also, I want people to be more connected to themselves and to the earth and to the ancestors, and to, like, bringing their own wisdom back, because we've looked at everyone else's way to do things. This is the way you do content. This is the way you create art. This is the way you do things. And what we get to do is remember that we had a way, we've always had our own way, and that is the purpose of this experience, is to bring you back to your divinity and embody it and come back to your own way. And so, yes.
Wow, I love it. I think this experience is going to be the most beautiful ever. Like, I can close my eyes and I can envision it for you. I can envision it for the perfect people that would go. I'm like, wow, I feel drawn to that myself. This is the best ever. And you nailed it, where it's always about back to divinity. And I use the word spirit. I know you use the word divinity a lot, and they're intertwined, they're together. And it's when we move with spirit, when we move with divinity, we infuse what we do. Rather, it's that piece of content, because in these present day of age of modernity, it's like, wow, God gifted us a phone. We can use it for a beautiful thing. Like, come on, use it. What are you going to do? Like, you know?
Right.
Whatever it is, but I think to me that's always been the code, right? Having created like a multiple six-figure business, I know you're close to the million. It's like, how do we do it? We do it this way. We infuse it with the movement of divinity, asking the ancestors with that big heart movement, and then the rest comes. Where it's like, you never know. That's what I found too, you know, in my business, and I'll wrap it up to that. But like, I found it's like, when I'm about to reach that next milestone, which ultimately it's an identity milestone, it's a feeling milestone, it's an embodiment milestone, then it's like, I become ready. I'm ready. And then next thing you know, life presents an opportunity my way.
Yes.
And then in the heart it's felt, and it's like, yeah, this is it. And then we move with it. And as we keep doing that, well, the vision keeps happening, and the big success, and then it's just life. It's like we play with it. And to me, that's the big difference between moving and maybe the more like old classical business mindset versus the new revolutionary way where we're here to bridge the codes of the land. I love to see heaven on earth. Like, that's what I'm up for.
That's what we're creating. We're creating it in every moment, right? Right now. I love the way you also said movement. I always say movement instead of action because I love to think of me moving with velocity, moving with spirit, moving with divinity, moving with the ancestor. You know what I mean? And so it feels a lot less action oriented. It feels more like I'm being moved. And when you're being moved, right, you're with the momentum, you're with the velocity. You're not like trying to figure anything out. You're out of your head and you're into your body. And so I love it. And we speak the same language.
Yeah, we do. So we'll wrap it up. Our beautiful hour together. I hear that it's a VIP weekend in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I hear that you've been moved. You literally been moved to create it, connecting with you today. I mean, I didn't have to connect with you today to know that, but like, it's just amplifying the knowing of it, if that makes sense. I love that you're moved for it. I want to share to your community, my community. I mean, my community kind of know this for now, but there's also a retreat in Greece that is happening on my end, and I see both of our things being very interconnected. I mean, obviously everything is interconnected, but the reason I'm bringing a group of visionary entrepreneurs to Greece this year, similar as you, it's about connecting to the land. Greece, I mean, the island we're going is the island of Zeus, where Zeus, the Greek god, was born. We're traveling to ancient astrology temple to not only, I mean, the whole week, it's a week retreat. It's a mastermind retreat in the sense that we're going to be planning, strategizing our business according to our chart to move in specific timelines that are in orchestra of our divinity. And of course, I don't even know how I'm going to do that yet. I'm like, how am I going to transmit all of the knowledge I have of astrology to the people in 1 week? We're going to Greece because Greece is obviously one of the most important historical center of astrology. There's ancient temple of astrology. Every ancient civilization moved with astrology. The pyramids were built with the stars. We know that. We must learn to use it again. Millionaire don't use astrology. Billionaire do. So that's a bit the vibe there for a whole week. And Greece, in my understanding, there's also, similar as New Orleans, but similar to so many center points of this beautiful earth, has a lot of these ancient Lemurian codes, Atlantis, call it the way you want to call it. So, anywho, thought I would share a bit about that. I want to know, though, when exactly is your weekend? What are the dates? So...
Yes. Yeah. No, I love it. First of all, I love it. I think Greece, that experience is going to be amazing. Yes. And what I also love is that you're bringing it back. There's what you were talking about with the pyramids. They were all built too on ley lines, right? And it's all power based. And so that's where we have natural power in this earth. Like, we don't have to do coal and fossil fuels and none of that stuff. If we connected back to the ley lines, everyone would have free power, like power source. And so that's where a lot of like the pyramids and some of those beautiful ancient sites were all built on these ley lines that are all connected throughout the entire world. Just, I know you guys know that, but I'm just like, this is so cool. So
no, we must go back and activate these points again. Like, that's a vibe. That's a true vibe. That's what I'm going there. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We must go.
We must go. What I've been told is that I, and now of course you, we have been activated as, starseeds, ancient beings or whatever. We've come back to really activate these ley lines. And that's the reason why I'm in New Orleans and then also in St. Petersburg and also in some of these areas and places that I've been, told to visit. Because when we do our work in these places, we are activating these lines again because they were, deactivated, colonism, patriarchy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, blah, blah, blah. But we don't have to worry about that. We don't need to spend time on that because we're here as the divine.
We're moving the current forward again. Let's freaking go.
Yes, bring heaven on earth. So the days for hourly line activation in New Orleans is going to be the 25th of July, 26th of July, and the 27th of July. And I'm really excited. This can either be for one woman or it can be for 3 to 5 women. It just depends on what comes together, but it's going to be me, you, and a luxury experience. I have my friend. She is a Hollywood makeup artist. She's going to glam you up. We'll get some pictures, some videos, all of that stuff. But really, the most of the time, it's going to be anchoring you into the next, right? The next evolution of your business, of your brand, of your global empire that you're creating, and really connect you with the soul of the movement, the soul of this brand, the soul of the impact, right? Because we're not just doing this to become spiritual billionaires. Yes, let's do it. Let's be spiritual billionaires. Let's use that money to, do all the things and activate the ley lines. Yes, yes, yes. And you're also doing this because of massive impact, because you're here to bring heaven on earth. And we bring heaven on earth by waking more people up to their power and to their divinity.
Yeah.
Right?
I love it.
Yes. And so that's what this is all for. That's why I called it divinity embodied immersion, because we get to have fun. We get to sit down. We get to eat our popcorn, have a glass of wine, drink, have these deeper conversations, walk on the streets of New Orleans, maybe visit some of these beautiful places and these beautiful homes that were alive and well hundreds of years ago. That'll be great. But also, we're here for you to just connect back into what your original mission was, what you were supposed to do before you heard all the noise, locking out the noise, coming back to your ancestry, coming back to what's in your soul, coming back to what you're here for, and anchoring that in.
Yeah. Yeah, when you say this, I feel like, woo, it's very strong. The way Spirit are showing me the vision right now, I'm trying to use the right word here, but it feels like reawakening is coming through right now, but I don't think this word is potent enough to describe what it is. It's almost like I see it's something about the energy of the land codes of New Orleans that the person or the persons that will come to you, it's very weird and profound and beautiful, but it's like, so as we're reawakening back in our divinity, we're plugging back, let's say, the chords to the right frequency, but it's almost like when they come to you, not only you're going to plug them back to it, but you're also going to take care of old chords that really don't need to be there anymore.
Yes. Yes.
And it's almost like, what's that word I'm looking for? It's not coming through right now, but it's not coming through. So maybe
what's the word in French? Or the word?
Oh, okay. Let's see. What's in French? The only word that comes through in French is aunties, but that's not what I want to say. And I don't know what's that word in English. But even if someone knows aunties in French, that's not what I want to say. It's like, oh man, why can't I?
What's the visual? Paint the visual.
It's like exactly what I said. So it's a bit like, okay, this sounds very religion, and I don't want to get too much into that, but if a priest, back in the day, someone that would be really sick, they didn't have the doctor medicine like we used to, so the priest will come to do this, whatever you call it. I feel you're going to be doing this.
The rites or whatever,
why is this word not coming through? Maybe if I stop trying to find it, it's going to come back.
It'll come. But I feel what you're saying.
Yeah, you're going to be doing a deep, profound clearing of energetic cords, of spiritual reactivation, divinity, taking care of like very profound things that need to be done and over with. Anywho, I'm seeing the vision strongly, and just so you like, I don't know if you were aware of that, but you know that July 24th is the new moon in the constellation or the sign of Leo. And Leo, of course, represents leadership, represents courage, represents, Leo is the heart. Leo rules the heart, it's the fire, it's bold leadership. Leo, to me, it's like, it's the one on the stage, it's like, and it's so, to me, Leo, I think it's my favorite sign of the zodiac. Leo, it's like, yeah. And so you have it 25th, 26th, 27th, which is perfect because the way I was taught, when there's a big event happening, like a new moon, something really spiritual, even if a loved one that's like pass away or like deep and profound, we have 4 days to do something about it. So this is just the best ever. I'm telling you, this is the best ever. This is going to be a 4 days activation. We plant on the new moon and then it grows with time.
I love this. I'm going to put it all on the sales
this
page.
Is it.
I have one. I don't think I have a sales page, but I will put it in the next thing.
Come pick up my brain to dive deep into like what it means. And it would mean a bit something different if like, depending of where Leo is in your chart, you should know, maybe we'll talk about that. Like, do you know where Leo is in your chart, what house?
I do not know.
Okay.
But I know I can look for it.
Check your chart a little bit. But like, for an example, my Leo is in house 2, so it would mean like house 2 is wealth and stuff. So like, depending of the house of the person, they're going to have a specific activation of leadership coded in specific teams depending of what house is in. So anywho, that's why it's wild when we move in astrology, right? Because it's like, oh, tell me.
Hold on, I'm going to pull it up right now. Hold on. Here we go. This is the birth chart. Okay, yes. So let's see. Where is Leo? House 4.
Ooh, this is perfect, honey. House 4 is the house that is ruled by Cancer. Cancer, we said it, ancestors, feminine energy, right? Big healing. Cancer to me is the deepest healer of the zodiac. It's a water sign, but it heals it has the power to heal straight to the ancestors.
Okay.
So for you, like this is exactly what your weekend is about. It's about the ancestors. You said it. So for you to be the holder on like when you're activated in that house.
Of course.
This is what's so funny. When either like, well, you're so connected, so obviously you're flowing with your chart whether you know it or not.
Yes,
but it's so beautiful when we start noticing and playing because it's like green light, green light, green light. It's the best ever. The stars, like, they are the ancestors as well. They're working with us. Okay.
I love that.
You got it. You got it. Kim, I have to let you go because I have a client appointment I'm realizing in like 18 minutes. Or like 19 minutes, but it's perfect. I'm in the best energy for that. I love you so much. We'll have to do this again. Go visit Christian in New Orleans, my people. Then come to Greece. Maybe do both. Let's play. Let's have fun. Greece is November 1st to 7th. Full moon in Taurus. And let's make the rest of the day this best ever because this is the full moon in Capricorn day. So we are in the big day of rising like freaking diamonds. I'm going to mic drop to that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I will see you again very soon.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Bye.
So that's the flap. Ciao for now.